Hi there everyone! Welcome back to Teen Tana. My name is Anna and today we are going to do writing comparison of the Jinhao 82 fountain pens and compare that with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim pens. So for those of you who are viewing this for the first time, welcome. My name is Anna and I do fountain pen reviews, inks also, and some paper and anything related to writing and journaling. So feel free to explore my other videos. So as mentioned, this video is just for writing comparison to show you the differences in the line width as well as the writing experience. For those of you who are interested in the head-to-head comparison of these pens, I suggest that you check out my other video because I've already done that. So this one is more of like a sequel to that because the more that I use this pen, the more I realize that these are two, very distinct pens. They may look similar, but they are really distinct. So I am going to link the link to the other videos using the description box below, so feel free to check that out. Okay, so as mentioned, we are going to focus on these aspects of the fountain pen. We're going to take a look at the line width or the quality of the line. Let me zoom this in. The quality of the line that we make as we write. We're going to take a look at the ink flow, how wet or how dry, the nib, the ink quality on paper. Because what I noticed about these fountain pens is that the way the ink looks on paper is very different. And of course, that plays an important role in the overall quality of the writing. So what I am going to do today is to kind of compare it to what the ink looks like on paper using a dip pen. If I dip that pen in the ink bottle and get a sample of like the fresh ink, and then what it looks like on paper using the Jinhao 82 as compared with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. So without further ado, let's just get to it. So the very first one that I'm going to do is, oh, by the way, I'd like to show you that these are some of the these are just, let me zoom out. All right, these are some of the fountain pens that I got from AliExpress. I like the Jinhao 82 pens because I think they're fun, and I had fun with it. I actually switched the caps, the body, and even the finials, to create that mix and match kind of look, and I absolutely love it. Okay, all right, so again, going back, sorry, I digress. Going back, what I want to do is to kind of let you see what the fresh ink looks like on paper if I use a dip pen and I get it fresh from the ink bottle, and then we're going to show you what the ink looks like on paper using the Jinhao 82 and compare that with the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. So let's just get to it. The very first one I'm going to show you is this ink, Sailor Manyo Fuji. This is a dual shading ink and I absolutely love it. And I got this one here. I got this Jinhao 82 in, I think it's called translucent purple or something like that. Kind of reminds me of the Sailor Nekoyanagi, from that pen collection. So I'm going to dip it here. Okay, I have my Sailor Hocoro Dip Pen. I'm going to dip it in here just so we can have like a fresh ink sample. Okay, sometimes the quality of the ink changes, over time, and that has something to do with maybe like exposure to air or something like that. So it's not the same as when you first buy it. I figured that over time the quality of the ink changes. So let's just get to it. So I'm going to do like a little swatch here. Okay, let me zoom that in. You can see that clearly, and I'm just gonna write the name here in bold. This is Sailor Manyo Fuji. All right, if you are interested, finding out more about this dip pen, I highly suggest that you check out my review on this one because I find that this writes very, very similar to, a fountain pen. Just because if you take a look at the tip of the pen here, it's also tipped just like a fountain pen. Okay, and it does write very similar to a fountain pen, so perfect for testing different inks. So let's take a look at that writing now. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is compare it with compare this original one straight from the bottle, you know, in terms of the ink quality, to the one using the Jinhao 82. Okay, so I'm just going to write here Jinhao, okay, 82, and this is a fine stainless steel, okay, nib. All right, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see clearly. So this is what the writing looks like using the same ink, okay, Jinhao 82. Okay, as you can see, it has more or less the same color. I don't really see like any line variation there, except that maybe the Hocoro not fountain, but the Hocoro Dip Pen lays a much thinner line compared to the Jinhao 82 fine nib. Okay, now I do not have a Sailor Pro Gear Slim fountain pen, but I do have a Twsbi Eco fountain pen, which is the one I'm gonna use to compare the line width and also the quality of the ink on the paper. So when I first got this Twsbi Eco Glow Purple, I immediately filled this up with the same ink. This is actually a Sailor Manyo Fuji, and that was when I got that for the first time. So that was a fresh ink straight from the bottle when I first filled it up. So you might find that, you know, the ink may look different. Okay, so this is Twsbi, okay, Eco fine nib, and this is also stainless steel nib. All right, so as you can see, I don't know why, so maybe over time the quality of the ink changes over time. Like I said, I didn't really do anything different with this ink, so it's just sitting in the drawer. So I figured that over time with exposure to air or something like that, the quality changes. So as you can see, the color of the ink is more muted now when I first had it. So when I first had it, it was like more of like a bright purple, but now it turned into what looks like a more muted ink. Okay, so now let's take a look at the ink flow of this ink. So this is the Jinhao. Okay, first of all, let's take a look at the line width. I would say that the line is very similar to the Twsbi. Okay, so let's do a smear test just to see the kind of flow that this pen has. Okay, looks like it's fairly wet there. Let's just compare that with the Twsbi. Okay, okay, alright, so more or less the same. The kind of wetness that you have is more or less the same. Maybe the Twsbi Eco is a little bit more wet, just a very tiny bit, than that of the Jinhao 82. As you can see, the line width of this pen is very similar. It's so hard to actually see the difference there. I would say it's very close. Okay, now let's take a look at the writing sample using these two pens. I'm going to maybe write exactly the same thing. I'm going to use the Jinhao first. Okay, I really like the Ariel movie, so I like the song. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write a line here. Okay, I don't know why it skips. Okay, look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Pardon my singing. Anyway, so that's the Jinhao 82. Now let's take a look at the Twsbi now. Now the Twsbi Eco has a little bit of feedback, but I kind of like more the way it writes. Okay, So let's take a look at how this ink looks on paper. As you can see, using the Jinhao 82, the ink of course is more muted, and that has nothing to do with the pen itself. It's just the quality of the ink changes over time. But in terms of how crisp the writing looks, I think that the Twsbi Eco writing looks better compared to the Jinhao 82, although, you know, I wrote exactly the same thing. It's just I like the crispiness of the line that I make with the Eco here. So the 82 writes pale, so it looks a little bit more pale, and also as you can see, it's less consistent with the way this writes. But in terms of the quality of the width, I mean, the line width is very, very close. It's very, very similar to each other. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is compare another ink that I have. I'd like to compare how this writes. This is the Jinhao 82 I have, and the Sailor Pro Gear Slim that I have. Now this time using the another Sailor Manyo Koke dual shading ink. As you can see, I really like dual shading ink. So we'll get. Alright, I'm gonna do the same thing. I am going to dip my Sailor Hocoro Dip Pen in this ink just to provide you a fresh sample straight from the ink bottle, because like what I said, you know, the quality of this ink changes over time. So I am going to do exactly the same thing. Do a little swatch of this ink here. This is also dual shading. I love this color. And I absolutely love this dip pen just because it writes like a fountain pen, and the you know, like the quality of the writing is very nice. All right, so that's what the ink looks like straight from the bottle, fresh. Okay, now we are going to take a look at how the ink looks when using a fountain pen ink up with the same. So this is the Jinhao 82 fountain pen. I think this is described as fluorescence blue, but I kind of like it. If you take a closer look, it does have little, you know, specks of glitter in it, which makes it look stunning. And I actually interchanged the finial. I have another one in red, and what I did is I just mix and match, you know, the finial and this end piece, and it really looks very stunning. All right, so let's get to it. I am going to write in here Jinhao 82. Oh, okay, sorry about that. 82. This is fine nib stainless. Okay, stainless steel, and I am writing on Tomoe River paper, just so you know. And I think it showcases the ink property really well. So this is what the Jinhao 82 fine nib looks like, using the stainless steel nib, okay, filled with the Sailor Manyo Koke. So now we're gonna do the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Now this is ink up with the same. So let's see what this looks like. So this is Sailor Pro Gear Slim, and this is in medium fine 14K gold knit. All right, okay, so let's see the difference now. Okay, as you can see, the Jinhao 82 stainless steel nib lays much thinner ink on the paper, and that, as you can see, also the kind of color that you get is very pale compared to the Sailor Pro Gear Slim medium fine nib. This lays the ink thicker on the paper, but because this is a Japanese medium fine, this writes more like a fine, but it does produce a very crisp color. I really like that quality, because even though I am writing using a fine nib or a medium fine nib, the quality of the writing is really nice. It's not as pale compared to the Jinhao 82. Now let's take a look at the line width here. So in terms of the line width, I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did earlier. I'm going to do some lines, okay, and I'm going to write that this is from Jinhao 82, and we are going to do a smear test here just to find the wetness, okay, on the pen. As you can see, it is not very wet. It does lay a very thin line, very thin ink on the paper, but it's not as wet So now let's take a look at the Pro Gear Slim. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Sailor Pro Gear Slim Medium Fine. And let's take a look at the smear test. As you can see, the Sailor Pro Gear Slim uses more ink. It's wetter compared to the Jinhao 82. And I believe that contributes to the legibility of the writing. As you can see, this lays nice, bold, rich ink, on the paper compared to the Jinhao 82, which is somewhat paler. So it may not be very visible, using this, but I think if you write longer, you will actually see the difference. And that's what I'm going to show you next. So using the same pens, we're going to do, a writing sample. And I am going to write exactly the same thing from a line from the Little Mermaid. All right, so I'm doing the Jinhao 82 now. Okay, let me zoom this in so you can actually see it better. Okay. And I'm actually just writing normally. All right, so that's what it looks like. So again, as with my other videos, it does not really capture the actual color. For whatever reason, the camera does not pick that up really well, but later on you'll see the difference. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to use the Sailor Pro Gear Slim and write exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is Sailor Pro Gear Slim Medium Fine. Right there, not writing alone, you can see how crisp, the line is. And of course, you can hear the feedback that this Sailor Pro Gear Slim makes, and I love that feedback. All right, let's take a look now at what the writing looks like. So as you can see, the Jinhao 82, although it lays a thinner ink on the paper, it also looks paler in comparison to the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. The Sailor Pro Gear Slim lays a much wetter ink on the paper, and it produces a nice crisp line. Okay, and I absolutely love, the quality of the writing using the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Not so much with the Jinhao, because I was expecting that, because the line, although is fine, that actually looks a much thicker line compared to the medium fine nib of the Sailor. So the medium fine likes, finer than the fine, if that makes sense. But no, it does not make it any brighter, So as you can see over here, there really is, a difference in the way the ink looks on paper, depending on, the nibs that you use. Okay, so we are going to do another one here using another ink, just so you will see that this is not just, like out of the ordinary. It is something that is in common, among the Jinhao 82s. All right, so we'll see another one using another ink. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna do another ink. I'm gonna do the KWC, so you won't say that I always use Sailor inks. I don't know, I just love Sailor inks. Okay, so let's do another one here. I'm gonna do the KWZ Green Gold ink. I really love this ink. So same thing, I'm gonna dip it in. I'm gonna use the dip pen, so we are getting fresh ink, and then we're gonna see what this looks like on the paper. Okay, let me wipe the excess ink over here, and let's see the writing using this one. As usual, I'm gonna do some swatch so we know exactly what the color we're using, and then I'm gonna write the name, KWZ Green Gold. And again, this is by Sailor Hocoro. I absolutely love that. As you can see, Right, very similar to fountain pen. I've said that so many times. All right, next we are going to test and see what this looks like on paper using the Jinhao. Okay, this is my Jinhao 82 and it does look stunning, don't you think? So I did interchange the finial. I have what do they call, it's called translucent pink, and I actually interchanged the finial, and I think this looks stunning. It's really nice. Anyway, so same thing. Let me make this bigger here. Okay, we'll do a sample of the writing. Okay, I don't know why. Jinhao 82. This is fine, and this is stainless steel. Now, the wetness of the ink on your nib also depends on the ink quality itself. I find that a lot of KWZ inks are really wet inks. They are super lubricated, okay? And we are gonna compare that with my Dragon Palace Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Absolutely love this one. All right, so Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Medium fine, 14K gold nib. All right. For this particular ink, I don't really see that much difference. It's not as pronounced as the other two inks, but I still could see that the writing using the Jinhao 82, using the same ink, is still paler in comparison to the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And we're gonna take a look at the line width and the ink flow and how that plays an important role in the quality of the writing. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm using my Jinhao now. Okay, I am writing the name here. Okay, and we're gonna do a smear test just to see. All right, so that's how wet this ink is. As you can see, it's fairly wet. So I am right. It's really the kind of ink that you use. Okay, now let's do the Sailor now. Exactly the same. Okay, I'm gonna abbreviate that. Okay, Sailor Pro Gear Slim. I'm gonna do medium fine. Okay, ooh, as you can see, it does lay a wetter ink, okay, which is consistent. You know, we've done this using 3 inks, and it's the same thing. It's just more wet compared to the Jinhao 82. All right, now for the writing sample, we're gonna stick with our, line from the Ariel song. Okay, I'm gonna do the name here, Jinhao 82. All right, so that's what it looks like. Now we're gonna do the Sailor now. Can I abbreviate it? Oh, by the way, I consider your suggestion. So I got this idea from one comment saying that it would be nice if I compare the writing quality using the same ink, and that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so if you have comment suggestions, feel free to drop them in the comment section because I read them and I consider them. All right, same. Okay, so now let's see what this looks like. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it. Maybe it's not as significant as the other two inks, but I definitely could see some difference in favor of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim because, like I said, it lays a much thicker ink, and as a result, the line looks crisper compared to the Jinhao 82. I find that Jinhao 82's it's kind of more like a hit or miss. I'm sorry, hit or miss. I have Jinhao 82's that are really really good, but I have Jinhao 82's that are somewhat meh. But I do find that the Sailor nibs are more consistent compared to the Jinhao 82's. Jinhao 82's, they are more like I said, hit or miss because they are mass-produced pens. But the Japanese Sailor Pro Gear Slim, their nibs are consistent. Like it consistently lays, a crisper line. It has all of those nibs. Those nibs have feedback unique to the Sailor. I just find that the Sailor nibs are more consistent compared to the Jinhao 82s. And again, looking at this sample here, the 82 lays a thinner ink on the paper and it looks paler in comparison to the Sailor Pro Gear Slim Medium Fine 14K Gold Nib. So now you at least have an idea if you are looking for what kind of writing you're going to get, if you buy one of these pens. All right. Now, I am also going to show you another writing sample. I've done that ahead just to kind of like emphasize my point here. And I'm going to show you. All right. So this is what I am talking about. I wrote Part of Your World, and I did write using exactly the same pen, exactly the same inks that I used earlier in my demo. So as you can see over here, the paler one is written using the Jinhao 82. This one is written using the Twsbi Eco Fine. This one is still the same ink, which is the Koke, and using the Jinhao 82. As you can see, it's paler in comparison to the one done using the Pro Gear Slim. Although they are the same ink, they look very different on paper. I have another one here from the KWZ ink. This one written using the this one written using the Jinhao 82. This one written using the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. So you kind of get the pattern here, right? So again, these are, very similar, I would say, pens in terms of, how this pen looks. But then in terms of performance, these pens have a lot of differences, okay? I am in favor of the Sailor Pro Gear Slim in a sense that the quality of writing is better. It's just more legible. I don't really mind the feedback, but if you want something that is fun, something that if you're not really that particular in terms of how crisp the line of your writing, then you can absolutely get this one here. But I wouldn't expect much, although I would say that it writes well also, but that can be like a hit or miss thing, because I do have another one, this one here. This is the first one that I got, and the one in my other video, this is also Jinhao 82, but this one I really like this pen because of the way this writes. For whatever reason, it just writes better than these other two ones that I got. I don't know. So like I said, with the Jinhao 82s, it's a hit or miss. If you are lucky enough to get like a nice flowing nib, then I suggest keep that pen. But like I said, these are two very similar but very different pens. So now I have actually shown you how this pen writes, the quality of the writing, the kind of the line width that you make with it, as well as the quality of the ink as it lays on the paper using these nibs. So what do you think about these pens? Okay, which do you prefer? Okay, and let me know, and I want to know your comments and your feedback, so please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you are not subscribed already, feel free to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you'll have a notification when I upload my next videos. Again, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.